It's great to, sort of meet you here. My name is Jesse Daly, and I'm the one who's kind of conducting these interviews along with Dennis and Bill, who are also in here as well. But we're really happy to have, as I was saying to Nicole, to have some time with you today to ask and talk a little bit more about what you guys are doing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it's great to meet all of you. And as I think we mentioned in correspondence, we're just so grateful that you're doing this work, because pulling everybody together is, I think, the missing piece of the puzzle. I really do. There's so many of us that are doing all these projects. And I think when we join forces, number one, and number two, when the world sees how many of us there are, that's when things really get exciting.
I absolutely agree, and I'm relatively new to the team here at GlobalConscience.World, so I think that I also say the same thing to Bill and Dennis and everyone at the organization. I think that bringing people together to highlight the work that's being done is so awesome, and it's so important, as you said. So,
Yes.
but so I guess if you wouldn't mind, if I can start just asking you a little bit about everything that is happening with Clean Green Music Machine, and I'm excited to learn. We're all excited to learn more about it. I guess first of all, what got you interested in trying to solve the problem of climate change and getting involved in climate activism?
It's interesting. Most of us change the negative things that are happening, but as importantly, what they prescribe is the changes that we can make to have positive impact. And so that's when CGMM was born, and we identified two sort of projects. One is for elementary school age kids, and that's like this fun musical theater presentation that we're actually developing into a TV series right now, that helps kids understand. Like the pilot episode is called Turn It Up, and it's about how energy is made and how our energy choices affect the climate. And it's all done through entertainment, lots of music, lots of engaging characters. Then our other project is for older kids, Gen Z, and that's called Our Future. I have to first say that Gen Z, this next generation that's coming up, is the first generation that I've seen since we were coming up in the 60s that is absolutely committed with their bodies, with their minds, with every ounce of their being to creating more sustainable systems. They really, really are. It's so exciting to be around them. We feel as an organization that we need to ask them more. It's their future. They should have the ability. We're handing them a big mess, a giant mess, and it's their future. We need to give them an opportunity to speak and to tell us what they want, what they need. And then when we ask them the next question, which we do, and we say, what do we do to fix this? The answers that they have are so profound and deep and powerful that that's what Our Future is about, really. Asking them what they see, how they think it should be solved, and then giving them a platform, again, through music and entertainment, because that's our sort of that's where our networks are, that's where our skills and resources are. So that's kind of what CGMM's all about.
That was a great explanation, and I just so I make sure that for our team and stuff that we fully understand with Our Future. I read that that program pairs up like very successful individuals, and then I guess there's a song that's created. Is that correct?
Yeah, what happens is we pair. One of the things that we found that's really interesting is when we started Our Future, we're doing it in partnership with the Office of Sustainability with the Department of Education in New York City. And also in New York City, there's a community that's considered the most, they say poor, we say disenfranchised community in the city. It has the highest rat population, the highest crime rate, the highest poverty level, all that. And there's this school that sits in the middle of this community called TAPCO. And they're amazing. The kids are amazing. It's just incredible, life altering to be in this community that is far from poor. It's so rich, but disembargoed, really. So Our Future started as a partnership between Office of Sustainability, TAPCO, and CGMM. And what we do is, instead of seeking out kids that are already established as activists, we're more looking for, and a citywide search is done through the Department of Education, for kids who are what educators call non-traditional music students. In other words, they're kids that might not feel like the school band or the school chorus would accept them. They're the kid who might be sitting alone in his room with a guitar versus the kid who's got a saxophone in the school band. They're kids who would never in a million years identify themselves as activists, and yet they have something that they want to say to the world about the climate change, climate justice. They have something they want to say. Well, we do a citywide search, and 5 of those kids that there's a whole rubric for selecting which 5 are selected. We then pair them with an established activist artist. So that's an artist, a musical artist who is using music to evoke positive change in terms of climate and climate justice. And so then we pair them up together, they write a song. So the established artist helps the emerging artist to express what they want to say musically. And at the same time, in the course of their interaction, the student is empowered to truly know that what they have to say matters. And the established artist also helps them to think of ways in their community that they can create the future that they want to see. We're now trying to figure out how to expand that into other areas. This past year, we tried our future we went to the other extreme, rural New England, white kids in the middle of nowhere, farm country in New England, and did our future program with them. And again, what they have to say and how they're impacted by climate change it's so profound, so profound. So now this year we're going to be going to a disembargo community in St. Petersburg, Florida. Our long-term goal is to really start expanding our future. And our future means giving sort of a megaphone and an amplifier to the next generation to tell the world what they see as the problem and how they prescribe we fix it. And then 5 years from now, we want to have an annual Our Future festival where kids have the platform, young people, the people who are being handed this mess get to tell us what they feel needs to happen. At the same time, giving them input. I know how profound it was for me when I was allowed in the presence. I say allowed because to me, I've spent time with Mick Jagger and Beyonce, but being in Bill McKibben's presence kind of blew my mind. And I feel like if young people could also be in the presence of some of these thought leaders, it would be game changers.
I think that is so awesome, especially what you said about music. It really is like the great connector, and I actually spent 10 years in Hollywood working in entertainment, so I understand. So I understand how, when I was reading about your organization, it was really so exciting to see, because it's such entertainment and music, especially, is so powerful, and it sounds like what you're doing too. And I was going to ask this question too. It looks like your website has been moved to focus on the turn it up right now. Is that correct? Like how?
No, we're right in the middle of this big giant shuffling of things.
Okay.
And
yeah.
rebranding. So you got to give us a little bit of time. Nicole will send you some new links. But yeah, it's really confusing. No, we had to, it was like one of those things where you have to, like a Rubik's cube, where you have to move stuff around till you get it where you need it. We're not done yet.
No, that's all good. The reason I had just brought that up quickly was because it sounds like you're with Our Future. It's focusing on like Gen Z but you're also starting with like really young kids too. And is that a program that now is still continuing, where like the Clean Green Music Machine group goes into the schools? Is that going to be continuing this year as well?
Yeah, well, we had just finished a wonderful run at the Brooklyn Children's Museum when the pandemic started. So with the live situation, we're still kind of on hold. But in the meantime, this pilot episode of Clean Green Music Machine, which is the name of the fictional band, right? we did a podcast that was really well received of the pilot episode, and that kind of sparked the interest now in us creating a pilot of Clean Green Music Machine as a TV series. One of the people that is really involved with the organization and is actually my husband is Paris Qualis, who's kind of a multi-award winning screenwriter, and he's known for doing projects that have socially conscious themes: Tuskegee Airmen, Raisin in the Sun, Profoundly Normal, and on and on and on. And he's in the process of adapting the theatrical script to television, and we'll be shooting the pilot episode in the next couple months. So that's pretty exciting for us. And then once that gets picked up and we have good indicators in the industry that there's, certainly a need for something like that makes climate education fun and accessible and all that. Our next episode we want to do on water sanitation and preservation. Episode after that might be on deforestation and the impact of that, and forestation that we highlight as equal the problem and what amazing things are happening all over the globe in terms of solutions. And so we really focus on that. It's part of why we're so excited about your organization. Actually, I have to tell you that when Nicole found your organization, we were actually all screaming, like, it's so excited, because it's like a resource. If you ever get discouraged and feel like everything you're doing is futile, you can go onto your website and see all the people who are doing these amazing things. And all of a sudden it doesn't seem insurmountable anymore. It's like, yes, with this many people, we're going to do it. And so again, I have to circle back and say thank you.
Well, geez, thank you for saying that. I'm pretty sure, Nicole, we have one of your quotes on our page as under the partnership, tab. So you're up on there, which is pretty cool.
Really?
But yeah, actually, and of course, I would keep you both here all day, but just for like that.
Oh, I know. I'm sorry. I could talk to you
listen,
all day.
No, listen, we love hearing as much as possible. I actually, what you had just talked about kind of leads me to one of my final questions about with climate change overall. It's like, we hear so often in the media, like such like negative things, of course, is we see it happening, like, which, with like the storm that just had to delay, the interview because of the crazy hurricane. And, and I hope everything's okay with you guys, by the way, up there.
Thank you.
Of course. And, but in what you had mentioned with like being excited with having, showing that there are people involved that are trying to make a difference. What are some of your thoughts about some of like the more, I guess, positive things with climate change, aside from all the negative stuff that we might be seeing in the media?
Yeah, I think, and I have to circle back again to Nicole and her generation. That to all of us in our organization is what keeps us going, because if you literally, in our experience, take any kid in Gen Z and pull them off the street and ask them if they believe that they can solve this, that they have ideas, you ask them their ideas, they aren't giving up. These kids they mean business. And to me and to all of us in our organization, that is so inspiring. So I think I would say, if I had to boil it down, I would say the fierceness and the bravery of Gen Z is the most positive thing going on in the climate movement. They are not messing around. and they have such phenomenal ideas. It's such phenomenal. My daughter, my 16, almost 17-year-old daughter, I have 3 children that are in their 30s, and then a 17-year-old, don't ask. but she is on us all the time, like about not only our individual behaviors, but what we need to be doing. She checks with us to make sure that we're voting for the right people, people who are standing up for the environment. This is a 16-year-old. This we haven't seen for a long time, and it's so inspiring. It's like they are stepping up, and I think it's going to be radical change. So it's exciting.
That's awesome. And so, and
You're the best part.
I mean, well, yeah, well, I would say that would be Nicole. I'm actually a millennial, so I'm sort of yeah.
You're still good, but they're kicking your butt.
Yeah, that's true. How would would more, you know, Gen Z or millennials or anyone, how can more people become involved with what you're all doing so that we can, you know, again, with our organization, you know, how can, you know, like how can we get the word out? And you know what I mean, with helping more people get involved with what your initiatives are.
I think that, and Nicole, you tell me if I'm right on this. I think first of all, highlighting how many of the young people, like highlighting their voices. We're real advocates for that because it is their future. It really is. We had our turn up at bat. Not so much you, Jesse, but the older folks here on the call, we had our turn up to bat. And we I can say in my case operated with good conscience, but we didn't pull it off. And so now it's the next generation's turn, and we need to support them and elevate them. So I think what you could do is make sure that you're highlighting what they have to say, and that you're asking them, and not just asking the activists. The activists are important because they're part of why the young activists are part of what's inspiring the next generation. But we also need to ask folks in the forgotten, I hate to say that, forgotten communities, the communities where nobody's asking them, and they have ideas, and their voices matter just as much. The kids at TAPCO, you know, the school in the Bronx, what they have to say would blow your mind, and they inspire other people like that.
Yeah, and if I can jump in as well,
Please.
I've talked to so many amazing kids who were just shocked that like people were noticing what they were doing. And these are people my age, these are people younger than me. I'm 22, just to give you a little heads up. So people my age, people younger than me. And I've reached out to so many Gen Zs, and they were just shocked. They were like, you really want to highlight me for like what I'm doing? And I'm like, yeah, like you have no idea the big impact you're doing on like the environment around you, the people around you. Like just doing one little thing, even if it's like planting like a little plant in your backyard, the impact is like more than they can imagine. And I think that's so important, like making sure that they're feeling like they're doing the good thing and feeling like, I'm not sure if I'm, you know, making an impact. Every little thing counts. And I think that's so important.
That's a great point. And actually, it was one of the last questions I was going to ask you. Sort of just, Nicole, you kind of just answered this, but I'll just ask it anyway. So we have it. You know, what is the most important thing, you know, that someone watching this interview can do like right now, whether it's your generation, mine, any generation?
I think the most important thing is that we are, like, as Bonnie said, we are amplifying the voices of my generation, because at the end of the day, this is up to them. As like, no offense or anything, as much as we would like the help of the older generations, it is only up to us, because we are the future of all generations coming to come. And I believe that anyone can help for sure, but I feel like Gen Z is the number one leader in all of this, and we should be more helpful in hearing their voices, supporting them, giving them the resources they need, amplifying their voices. I don't know if that answered your question.
That definitely does. And I think it's a fantastic point. And it sounds like what you're all doing is really, you know, spearheading a lot of that. So I think you'll be really proud. You should be really proud of yourselves for making this happen. And, you know, I guess I would.
Can I just add one thing to that too, Jesse? And that is that I feel like in American education anyway, there's been sort of a shortcoming in that civics is no longer taught. So a lot of Gen Z just literally doesn't understand how policy is made and how the government works. No diss to them, we cut it out of the curriculum. We just did. And so I think anything that we can do to educate them about how it works and that their vote does matter, and that now as they're starting to think about voting and getting involved in policy, so individual action, but also policy, so that they know how it works, they know how to find what a representative stands for, and they know how to hold them accountable for the decisions that leaders take. And I feel like we've all got to step up and help them understand how that works.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. Well, I mean, yeah, gosh, I could ask many more questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we kind of, end our interview about how people can find all of you, or anything else that anyone would like to add here?
I think the only thing I want to add, and then Nicole, I want you to have a chance too, is that we're so glad to have met you and so grateful for the work you're doing, pulling all of us together. It's just amazing. Thank you.
For sure. And just to answer your question of how people can get connected with us, I'm always on social media, on our social media platforms. I'm always reaching out to like everybody, as I reached out to you guys. I'm not afraid to go out there and be like, hey, how you doing? You're doing a great job. So I think the best way to come reach out to us is just sending a message. I won't bite. I'll be like the kindest human being. Even if it's like someone who has an idea, or someone who's like, hey, can you feature this on our page? I'm more than happy to like help them out and be like, yeah, I'd be more than happy to feature you like on our story, as long as like you can feature us, like a little switch over here. But I do want to put this out there. We are in the works of creating a podcast. It's me and Bonnie's daughter creating it. So soon enough, that will be out there, and it's basically reviewing music that tackles sustainability, and we'll be like hitting different topics like the climate crisis, body positivity, all those different branches. So one way they could be a part with what we're doing is come hop on the podcast with us, and we'll create some magic,
That is awesome. Yeah, definitely. Please keep us posted on that too, because I'm sure in some way maybe we could be involved in, in that too. I don't know. Maybe I think it's great just to have this this partnership going, and yeah, honestly, like to both of you, like Bonnie, thank you for saying all those things about the organization here, but also really what you're doing too is so awesome. And I can even personally say with working in entertainment, it's like so impactful. So it's so awesome. And
well, thank you. And thanks for your time today. It was so great to meet you.
let's do this again sometime soon.
All right, great.
For sure.
Thank you very much.
Great day. Thanks so much. Thank you.